That warm smile from our isn't a lifeline. It's a carefully engineered snare for your own professional execution. Every secret you whispered off the record is already being weaponized against you. Watch to the very end, because your survival depends on this ruthless truth. Have you ever walked out of the human resources office feeling a profound sense of relief, like a 1,000-pound boulder was just lifted off your chest? You smiled, thinking that amidst this cold, concrete corporate jungle, a shred of genuine humanity still existed. You felt heard. You felt safe. But then, exactly 3 weeks later, your name mysteriously appears at the very top of a performance improvement plan, and the very same people who handed you tissues are now quietly locking you out of the system. If that chilling scenario sounds familiar, congratulations. You have just been handed a VIP ticket to your own professional execution. If it hasn't happened to you yet, I need you to lock your eyes on this screen and listen to me as if your entire livelihood depends on it, because I promise you, it absolutely does. The most dangerous, career-ending trap in the modern workplace isn't a ruthless boss or a backstabbing coworker. It is the warm, inviting smile of an our representative offering you a cup of coffee and a sympathetic ear off the record. Vuonggainaf02 warmly welcomes you to this space. If you want to survive the hidden, cutthroat wars of the corporate world and uncover the secrets they desperately hide from you, hit that subscribe button right now to support the channel. Your support gives me the drive to keep bringing you these raw, unfiltered truths in the future. We are living in an era deeply infected by a toxic, sugar-coated narrative. Everywhere you look, they shove this corporate propaganda down your throat. The company is your second family. Her is your safe haven, the sturdy shoulder to cry on when the storm hits. I need you to rip that garbage ideology out of your mind and burn it to ashes today. Erase the utterly naive concept of off the record from your vocabulary right this second. Let me make this brutally clear. The invisible microphone in that cozy hour office is the ultimate weapon of corporate surveillance, and it never, ever comes with an off switch. When you sink into that plush leather sofa, take a sip of chamomile tea, and start spilling your guts about how unfairly your manager is treating you, or how suffocating the team environment has become, you think you are just venting. You think you are finding an ally. You are not. You are actively handing the corporate tribunal a signed, sealed confession that will be used to systematically dismantle your career. I am standing here telling you this not as some textbook theorist, but as a scarred survivor who has bled in these corporate trenches for years. I have watched brilliant, incredibly talented peers get slaughtered professionally and thrown out on the street simply because they let their guard down for 5 minutes. I am not here to coddle your feelings or incite a senseless rebellion against human resources. They are not evil monsters. They are just a highly efficient mechanism doing exactly what they were paid to do. My sole purpose today is to slap you awake. I want to teach you the ruthless, unspoken rules of this machine so you can finally protect your own plate. Naivety might look cute and innocent in a kindergarten classroom, but if you bring that same innocence into the corporate arena, the outcome is always the same. You will be eaten alive, and nobody will be there to save you. To understand exactly why you are on the menu, you must first understand the true appetite of the beast you are dealing with. Let us strip away the corporate buzzwords, the mission statements, and the hollow promises of workplace harmony to look at the cold, hard mathematics of the situation. Who signs the paycheck for the human resources department? It is not you. It is the company. And in the brutal reality of capitalism, he who controls the purse strings dictates the absolute loyalty of the recipient. The fundamental, unshakable mandate of our is not to advocate for your happiness, your mental health, or your career trajectory. Their fiduciary and moral obligation is to protect the corporation from liability. They are the primary defense mechanism, a legal and financial shield designed to mitigate risk before it costs the company money or reputation. When you walk into their office to report a toxic manager who is driving you to the brink of a nervous breakdown, you are looking for a savior, but they are looking at a walking, talking liability. They are silently calculating whether your complaint has enough legal weight to trigger a lawsuit. If your boss is simply a tyrannical bully but isn't breaking any specific labor laws, our will not dismantle the profitable hierarchy to save your feelings. Instead, they will turn the magnifying glass squarely onto you. You are the squeaky wheel. You are the disruption. And in the corporate machine, it is infinitely easier to replace a distressed cog than to rebuild the entire engine. I remember sitting in a dimly lit bar with a former hour director who had finally burned out from the guilt of the job. After 3 bourbons, he looked me dead in the eye and confessed that every employee complaint is put through a silent triage process. The objective is never to find out who is morally right. The objective is to determine who possesses the least amount of power and the highest probability of being quietly terminated without legal blowback. That is the chilling truth. They will document your grievances, not to build a case against your abusive supervisor, but to establish a paper trail that paints you as disgruntled, uncooperative, and a poor cultural fit. Your vulnerability is immediately transformed into their ammunition. It is a profound betrayal, realizing that the very safety net you were told would catch you was actually a snare designed to hang you. But acknowledging this harsh reality is the only way to stop being a pawn in their risk management strategy. You have to stop viewing them as the workplace police who serve and protect the employees and start seeing them for what they truly are: the internal security force of the executive board. Knowing that they are the company's ultimate shield, you might wonder how they so consistently manage to bypass our natural defenses and get us to surrender our most damaging secrets. The answer lies in their absolute mastery of weaponized empathy. This is where the psychological warfare of the modern workplace reaches its most sophisticated and terrifying level. Human beings are biologically hardwired to seek connection and validation, especially when we are operating under immense stress. When you are drowning in unfair deadlines, suffocating under micromanagement, and feeling completely invisible, you are in a state of emotional starvation. Her professionals are intensely trained to recognize this starvation and offer you the exact psychological nourishment you are desperate for. They sit across from you, utilizing flawless active listening techniques. They maintain soft, sustained eye contact. They lean in just slightly, nodding at all the right intervals. They use validating phrases like, "I can only imagine how exhausting that must be for you," or "You have every right to feel frustrated." In that moment, your brain releases a massive flood of relief. The walls you spent months building around your professional persona suddenly crumble. You genuinely believe that you have finally found an ally who sees your worth and recognizes the injustice of your situation. So, you start talking. You let your emotions dictate your words, complaining about the incompetence of your team, admitting your struggles with the workload, and confessing your deep dissatisfaction with the company's direction. What you do not see is the clinical detachment operating right behind those sympathetic eyes. While you are experiencing a cathartic emotional release, they are mentally categorizing every word you say into risk vectors. Your admission of burnout is documented as an inability to handle standard job duties. Your frustration with a toxic coworker is framed as a lack of interpersonal skills and a refusal to collaborate. Your venting about poor management is flagged as insubordination and a toxic attitude. They hand you a tissue to dry your tears, but they are already drafting the narrative that will be used to justify your dismissal. I have seen brilliant, strategic minds walk into those offices and completely dismantle their own careers in less than 20 minutes because they mistook a corporate interrogator for a trusted friend. It is a brilliant, insidious trap because it uses your own humanity against you. They do not have to break you down to get a confession. They just have to pretend they care, and you will willingly hand over the very rope they need to hang you. Now that the velvet curtain has been violently ripped away and you see the jaws of the trap waiting beneath, it is time to forge the armor that will ensure you are never its next victim. Surviving this landscape requires a radical shift in your behavior and the adoption of a strict, unapologetic code of corporate self-defense. Rule number 1, and the absolute foundation of your survival, is that silence is your most valuable currency. You must fundamentally separate your emotional needs from your professional environment. The workplace is a theater of economics, not a therapy clinic. If you are struggling, if you are hurting, if you are angry, you take those emotions to your spouse, your best friend, or a licensed therapist. You never, under any circumstances, lay them bare on the altar of human resources. Treat every single interaction with "our" as if it is a formal legal deposition, because practically speaking, it is. If you are ever forced to engage with them, you must strip your language of all emotion. Stick exclusively to verifiable facts, dates, times, and policies. if you must report an issue, such as blatant, illegal harassment or a severe compliance violation. Do not walk in there looking for sympathy. Walk in there like a lawyer presenting a bulletproof dossier. Before you ever breathe a word to them, you must have an ironclad paper trail. Document everything. Forward critical emails to your personal, private email address before you are unexpectedly locked out of the server. Keep a private, time-stamped journal detailing every interaction, every witness, and every piece of evidence regarding your toxic situation. When you sit in that plush chair and they try to deploy their weaponized empathy to get you to ramble, you must maintain a polite, impenetrable poker face. When they ask, "How is this making you feel?" you pivot back to the facts. You say, "My primary concern is that standard operating procedures outlined in Section 4 of our handbook are not being followed, which is impacting project delivery." You remain painfully objective. You make it abundantly clear, through your disciplined demeanor, that you are not a confused, emotional employee they can easily manipulate, but a calculating professional who understands exactly how the game is played. Never agree to an off-the-record conversation, because there is no such thing. If it is spoken, it is recorded in their memory. If it is written, it is leverage. By becoming relentlessly disciplined in what you say and what you document, you strip hour of the ammunition they need to build a case against you, transforming yourself from an easy target into an incredibly dangerous liability to cross. But mere survival and constant paranoia are exhausting ways to live, which is why I want you to push past the fear and elevate yourself to a place where you are completely untouchable. This final evolution requires the ultimate shift in your psychological framework. You must murder the illusion of the corporate family once and for all and embrace the liberating reality that you are a mercenary. You are a business of one. You are the CEO of your own labor, leasing your skills, your time, and your intellectual property to a corporation in exchange for capital. That is the entirety of the relationship. When you finally sever the emotional umbilical cord that ties your self-worth to a company logo, the insidious manipulations of hour and toxic management entirely lose their power over you. You become untouchable, not because they cannot fire you. Anyone can be fired, but because you have completely insulated your identity and your livelihood from their control. You stop waiting for the company to recognize your value and start continuously building your own leverage. You keep your resume violently updated. You relentlessly network outside the four walls of your current employer. You hoard your skills, you learn the market, and you maintain a financial safety net that allows you to walk away the moment the environment turns fatally toxic. When Hour realizes that you are not desperately clinging to your job, that you possess options, and that you operate with the cold, calculated efficiency of an independent contractor, their entire dynamic with you changes. Bullies and corporate manipulators prey on the fearful and the dependent. They shrink away from the autonomous and the prepared. This is not a message of cynicism. It is a manifesto of ultimate empowerment. The moment you stop expecting unconditional love and protection from a profit-driven machine is the exact moment you reclaim your absolute freedom. You will walk through the corporate jungle with your head held high, eyes wide open, and an unshakable confidence radiating from your core. You will smile back at the Hour representative, drink their chamomile tea, and play the corporate game flawlessly, knowing all the while that your soul, your secrets, and your future belong entirely to you. You are no longer a naive casualty waiting to be slaughtered in the trenches of office politics. You are awake. You are armed with the ruthless truth. Now, go out there, protect your plate, and conquer your career on your own uncompromising terms. In the modern corporate ecosystem, the Human Resources Department is unequivocally not your personal advocate. It is the ultimate defensive shield designed to protect the company's bottom line. Stripped of the comforting illusion of the corporate family, we are forced to confront a brutal reality. Her's absolute fiduciary duty is to mitigate institutional risk, often by weaponizing empathy to extract your deepest vulnerabilities. By dangling the irresistible bait of psychological validation, they lure stressed and emotionally starved employees into dangerous oversharing. These confessions are then meticulously documented not to help the employee, but to neutralize them as potential liabilities. To survive and thrive in this unforgiving landscape, you must radically shift your mindset from seeking a workplace savior to practicing relentless corporate self-defense. Silence and emotional detachment must become your greatest assets. while objective, verifiable documentation becomes your strongest armor. Ultimately, true empowerment is found in viewing yourself as a business of one, a free agent mercenary leasing your specific skills for capital. By severing the emotional umbilical cord to your employer, continuously building external leverage, and keeping your professional identity fiercely independent from your corporate status, you become truly untouchable. You are no longer a vulnerable, dependent cog trapped in a ruthless machine, but an autonomous, calculated professional navigating the corporate theater with eyes wide open, entirely on your own uncompromising terms. The workplace is a transactional economic theater, not a surrogate family or a therapy center. The expectation of unconditional loyalty, empathy, and emotional support from a profit-driven entity is a dangerous vulnerability that can and will be exploited against you. Compartmentalize your emotions. Build a strict firewall between your personal feelings and your professional persona. Seek emotional support from friends, family, or a licensed therapist, but never lay your vulnerabilities bare in the office. Document relentlessly. Treat your career like a continuous legal deposition. Keep private, time-stamped records of achievements, toxic incidents, and critical communications. Build an ironclad paper trail before you ever need it. Embrace the business of one mindset. Stop waiting for corporate validation. Keep your resume aggressively updated. Continuously expand your skill set and build a financial emergency fund. Your true security comes from your leverage in the open market, not your current job title. Master the poker face. When dealing with management or her, respond exclusively with verifiable facts and policies rather than emotional reactions. Be unfailingly polite, entirely professional, and strategically guarded. Have you ever experienced a situation where our or management used a casual, seemingly empathetic conversation against you later on? Please take a moment to share your perspective and experiences in the comments section below. It is incredibly valuable for our community to read your stories and learn from each other's insights. If you found this content empowering and want to master your professional destiny, please hit the subscribe button. Your support fuels this channel and gives us the motivation to keep producing deep, impactful content for you.